Naguib to present his thesis.
Thank you so much for giving me such an opportunity to present my PhD Mahfouz over here. First of all, thank you so much, each and everyone. Respected Chairman in charge, Dr. Obali sir, and respected Excellency Dr. Sajid Nikam, and my honorable research guide, thank you so much for you all. My research topic is that reflections in socio-cultural and political affairs in the reflections in the socio-cultural and political affairs in the selected novels of John Steinbeck and Naguib Mahfouz, a comparative study. The chapterization of my study, actually my study contains 5 chapters. First chapter, the introduction, which talk over the aims and objectives, hypothesis, review of literature, need and significance, theoretical framework, and so on and so forth. The second chapter, which are reflections in the socio-cultural and political affairs in the selected novels of John Steinbeck, in which we talk over to analytically and we investigate 2 Awin novels, The Grapes of Wrath and Travel with Shirley in Search of America. And in the third chapter, we talk over the socio-cultural and political affairs in the novels investigated of Naguib Mahfouz, which are Manikali and Children of Reality, or Thieves and the Dogs. And we come to the 4th chapter, which is the comparative study, which is the extractive compartment of the entire study, in which we talk over 3 distractive and inferent issues, which are socio-cultural and political deterioration, role of genders, and lastly, politics and the socio-cultural affairs. Then the last chapter, which is the 4th chapter, is the conclusion, which is distractively, we imbibe the whole or the entire study. Here we start from the first chapter, the introduction. The present study critically explores and investigates the socio-cultural and political affairs reflected on in the selected novels of both the Nobel laureate authors, Steinbeck and Mahfouz. It aims at highlighting and analyzing the literary reflections in the way the novelists have portrayed the situations of their contemporary people and societies. In the sense they have realistically touched out the struggle and sufferings received. The research scholar has compared and contrasted between Steinbeck's chosen novel and Mahfouz's chosen novels to come to an end with the conclusion that there are interdisciplinary similarities in the common state of affairs and divergent differences in the way of life in each culture and society. Here we will give a glance about the Nobel laureate chosen novels in the study. First, John Steinbeck, who was chosen in the study chronologically, is a Nobel laureate novelist for literature in the 1962 Nobel Prize and one of the greatest American authors. Who was born in 1902 in the farming town of Salinas, California, the United States of America. He wrote 16 novels, 6 non-fiction books, and 2 collections of short stories, and so many other works. He died in 1968, age 66. The second author chosen for the study is Naguib Mahfouz. He's a Nobel laureate as well for literature in the 1988 Nobel Prize and one of the greatest Arab authors. Who was born in 1911 in Al Jamiliya district of Cairo, Egypt. He wrote 34 novels, 5 plays, and 350 short stories. He died in 2006, age 94. The statement of the problem. as a comparative study between two different authors, selected novels aiming to analytically compare and contrast between two different sources of socio-cultural and political matters reflected on the novels. There are two basic standards in which the research scholar has focused on to assess and highlight two different situational phases of Messianic literary reflections. Fairly, each novel of each novelist has its major problem viewed critically in a specific time and has its influence to the present time. Steinbeck's target novels are selected chronologically on the basis of the two great American historical events. The first chosen novel is considered as a reflection on the USA in the Great Depression of the Dust Bowl period before the Second World War, whereas the second one is regarded as the mirror of America in the post-Second World War juncture. Similarly, Mahfouz's two novels are selected in a chronological order on the basis of their simultaneity with two greatest Egyptian historical incidents in the 20th century. The first novel is selected to reflect on Egypt and the last decade of the British colonialism, while the second one is to present the condition of Egypt in the post-colonial stage. Here we come to the objectives of the study. First objective, to explore the socio-cultural and political affairs reflected on in the selected literary works of Steinbeck and Naguib Mahfouz. The second objective, to explain the social issues resulted out of the religious and political impacts and influences in the selected literary works of both the authors. To analyze critically the socio-cultural and political matters emerged in the selected novels in comparison with the contemporary real events in the USA and Egypt at that time. To compare deductively the highlighted affairs in the selected novels of Steinbeck and Mahfouz. To show how thematically such the novels of Steinbeck and Mahfouz cover the socio-cultural and political affairs in the modern time. Research methodology. The research study has based on the selected novels of Steinbeck, American novels, and Naguib Mahfouz, the Arabic novelist, is explanatory and analytic in nature. The present study, as a comparative in core, investigates and analytically explains the similarities and differences of literary targeted works of the two authors with their different dimensional perspectives. The study follows the edition MLA style in documentation, citation, and reference. Since the present study needs no field work, the researcher depends primarily on the original text, primary sources of the novels, and what had been written by the target novelist. There are also some critical studies and overviews on the selected novels by some native and non-native critics and writers to be considered, taking help with the internet ebook and e-journal, which becomes a must nowadays as a facility for the research works. Furthermore, any research reports, articles, journals, and previous studies made in this area are also intended to form a part of the secondary sources. The discussions and councils of erudite scholars and research experts, as well as literature experienced professors regarding the study area and direction, are attempted till approaching the study conclusion. Briefly, an attempt has been made in this chapter to throw light on the statement of the problem, aims and objectives, hypothesis questions, the study scope and limitation, research methodology, chapter-wise skill, biographical sketch of the selected authors, and thematic framework. Certainly, these are the aligning spectrums based on for the entire research work to be done.
You just concentrate on the arguments.
Okay, now we go. The second chapter, we are going to talk about John Steinbeck's chosen novels. First, The Grapes of Wrath, actually the grapes of wrath has its motive of the thematic background of the 24th October 1929 Great Depression in the United States of America, which is known as the Black Thursday, and which brings about the stock market crash in the United States of America. The devastating economic crashes wiped out different national and international companies in the United States of America, which leads to different crises and bankruptcies in the small and internal companies in the United States of America. When we come to the first point, as we have studied this novel from 4 perspectives, we have first rich versus poor, materialism versus humanity. When we talk about rich and poor and materialism versus humanity, here we can take the quote of Ma, who is the mother of the protagonist in the novel, The Grapes of Wrath, when she said that when you are in hurt, in need, or injured, go to the poor people. They are the only ones who can help. They are the only ones, those who help. And here from this quotation, we can understand that rich in the United States of America in the 3rd decade of the 20th century, in a capitalist system, country like America, the rich overwhelm and let the poor people suffer under the glass gap, which is the bourgeois system. And when we are talking about the novel critically, Naguib Mahfouz criticizes the capitalist system, which led the people suffering and troubling and burdening due to the classes affairs and due to the economic derivations. Here when we see people in Oklahoma who were evicted from their country, from Oklahoma and was sent to the promised land, which is California, people suffers in both sides because of the capitalism. Then the author shows the readers that lower class people in America are suffering every now and then because of such discriminating system. The people of the lower class didn't find jobs, don't find work wherever they go, wherever they search. They are discriminated and they are mocked, disparaged, and belittled. The quote which I talk in the first of this analysis of this point, which is of the Mother Ma, when you are in hurt or in need or in trouble, go to the poor people. They are the only ones that help. They are the only ones those who can help. Here we come to the conclusion. The whole novel is talking about the high-class people, the landowners and bankers, company owners. But at the end, the last passage of the novel, the last 5 lines, something is changed. The author changed the direction of the theme from criticizing the capitalism to praising the lower class people of humanity and their kindness. When Rose of Sharon, one of the minor characters during the flood in California, in the flood, people were escaping, they're flying from the flood, and by accident she finds a starving person with his child. He was chained with shackles and starving to death of hunger. She had still baby, and she have males in her breast. She offer her breast to that starting person and feed him and be crucified. This is the human, and this is what we mean materialism versus humanity. Here we come, materialism, can be pictured and reflected according to John Steinbeck on the capitalist system or the upper class people or rulers or company owners, and humanity remains in the poor people, the lower class people. The second point is criminality and alienation. Here, when we talk about criminality and alienation, actually, evil actions bring about evil consequences. And according to Martin Luther King Jr., darkness cannot drive out of darkness, light can do so. Violence multiplies violence in a descending spiral of destruction. Hate cannot drive with hate, only love can do so. So as far as the upper class people killing those lower class people purposelessly, and since they are innocent without any reasons, but because they are from lower class and poor people seeking for jobs, they are making accusations, claiming accusations that they are, mentally sexual people and searching for something dirty. These are as claims only. So the alienation of the people here, actually I have to point to figure out the alienation, which is different from isolation. Isolation, you can be isolated, by your own free will. But alienation, you are alienated forced by others. So the lower class people are alienated and discriminated by the upper class people. And actually, when we go back to the novel, in order to give you a clear point of view, when the landowners of Oklahoma evicted out the lower class people from their lands, and they traveled to California, as it was the promised land, as they previously used to say that go west for best. People there in California, unfortunately, faced them in a very bad manner and killed them and discriminated them. They didn't allow them to work. They didn't give them jobs. They found them. So we come to a result. They became helpless, hopeless, worthless, foodless, worthless. And because of what? Because of the jealousy and motiveless malignity and immensity of the upper class people, either in Oklahoma or in California. We come to the third point, which is migration and xenophobia. Actually, migration, people come from Oklahoma searching for jobs, searching for works, but xenophobia of the native people of California, they don't allow them to work, they don't allow them even to reside. Their children die of malnutrition. Since the grapes in the orchards in the fields, as far as the title of the novel, Grapes of Wrath. Here we have an oxymoron, an expression of oxymoron, which is a combination of opposite meanings. So they went from, or they escaped from a frying pan into the fire. Here what we can observe in brief, and I try to compare all the points in order to reach time. Here we come to the last point in this novel, which is religious skepticism and symbolism. We have here four matters: religious skepticism and symbolism. First, the author is skeptic in the way that even heathen discriminate and fight against the lower class people, which is when he started the novel. There is a huge dusty storm, and at the end it ends with the flood. And when we come to the symbolism, we have Jesus Christ and Moses, who are represented in these novels. Moses is represented in the way of migration. When they migrated from Oklahoma to California, like Moses when he migrated, and in the Exodus when he was affected by Pharaoh, he was chased by Pharaoh, and he was fly to a desert land, and which became a golden land and a promised land. And we come to the promised land, which is repeated more than 50 times in the novel. Promised land, which means that California is the promised land for the poor people, those who were living in Oklahoma. But unfortunately, it became later on an unpromised land. And here is the skeptical point, in the sense that even what is in the scripture, in the Holy Scripture, in the biblical interpretations, is happening in the real life wrongly, in the other way around. Here we come to the second novel of John Steinbeck, which is Travels with Charlie in Search of America. We studied from the following thematic standpoints, also 4 points. First, horror of racial phenomena. Second, modernity.
Now, what is your conclusion? What is your conclusion? I'm finishing within 5 minutes.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yes, I know.
You know, since 3 years I'm working in this.
No, we have next Viva. We have another Viva. Okay, we have to finish it.
Then you can
Afterwards,
read the points. You can read the points.
No explanations.
No explanation, you read your conclusion only. Okay. We will organize your special lecture afterwards.
Okay. Here the points are horror of racial phenomena, the second point modernity and virtue of charge, the third point foreignness and American identity affairs, the fourth one moral and political and environmental issues. Here the third chapter, which is the reflections on socio-cultural political affairs in the Silicon novels of Mahfouz. Here we talk also about 4 subject matters: hunger for power and wealth, which we talk about and just remember me please, sir, of Dr. Faustus by Christopher Marlowe. That Dr. Faustus with Mephistopheles and
Yes, we know everything.
The second point, which is betrayal and revenge. The third point, moral and cultural decadence. The fourth point is religion and the transgression of the people. Here are some pictures. The second novel for the author, Naguib, the teacher of the dogs. Here we have 4 subject matters as well: poverty and crime, torture and alienation, vengeance and manslaughter, mass and street, inside mass, spiritual atmospheres and real life affairs. Here the comparison, chapter. We compare the first phase of this chapter. We compare between the grapes of wrath with Medic Ali by Mahfouz from the 3 point of views. First one, religion and the socio-cultural deteriorations. The second one, role of gender. The third one, politics and socio-cultural deviations. The second phase, which are the lower written novels. The first novel, Travels with Charlie in Search of America by Naguib Mahfouz, is compared with Naguib. First one by John Steinbeck. The second one was by Naguib Mahfouz, which is the thieves and the dogs. They are compared in the 3 talked over and socio-cultural deteriorations, role of gender, and the last one is politics and socio-cultural deviations. Here are the points of over. First point, religion and social and cultural deteriorations in the selected novels of the two authors. The research study concentrates on the two main issues in the subject matter: image of the religious figures, religious absence as social-cultural problems. As a matter of fact, popular religion in America is Christianity, which is viewed as a source culture, and popular religion in Egypt is Islam, which is regarded as the mother culture. As an evidence, the great progression due to the American stock market collapse as well as capitalism are considered as the most problematic political issues in America in the 1930s, leading to the socio-cultural declines as reflected in the Grapes of Wrath, whereas the British colonialism and failure of the national government in the regime of King Farouk, in the monarchic regime, in Egypt are the deeply political crises causing the socio-cultural generations, especially in Majid Ali. On the other hand, the second two novels are generally highlighted to view the religious absence, or rather the religious negligence in the 1950s in Egypt and America. Undoubtedly, the political movements have their larger impacts on societies and cultures with their morals, trends, values, and so forth. These post-colonial problems in Egypt have disastrous effects on the socio-cultural norms and principles as reverberated in the thief and the dogs, while the post-World War II situation has its negative influence with regard to the American socio-cultural where the religion has no role in the reforms and awareness of the American people at that time, as being depicted in the travels with Shirley in Search of America. Second point, the role of gender in the dozen novels of the author. Evidently, when comparing the women in America and the women in Egypt, as resonated in the studied novels of Steinbeck and Mahfouz, it shows their clear similarity in the sense of the women and the vision of the people. Obviously, Steinbeck in the Grapes of Wrath portrays the position of women as a normal one, while Mahfouz in the Majid Ali draws the imbalanced situation of women. She is either in an awkward situation at a patriarchal level, or in the other end of patriarchy and deviation from the socio-cultural track. In the other two novels of both the authors, the position of women described in The Thief and the Dogs by Mahfouz is similar to the same author's previous novel in the common sense of insight, whereas things become different in Travels with Shirley in Search of America by Steinbeck. As the author refers the condition of the American woman in his long journey across the whole country in the search of America, where he has discovered that his country is loaded with human and social calamities, especially in the terms of women. The last point, politics and socio-cultural affairs in the selected novels of the two authors. Actually, Steinbeck and Mahfouz have criticized the political situations in their literary works. In the present study, the researcher has critically read the four selected novels to determine and analyze the reflections of the political affairs. The first two novels of Steinbeck and Mahfouz have mirrored the political conditions in America and Egypt. First, Steinbeck, The Grapes of Wrath pictures the political problems in America in the 1930s regarding the oppression and inequality of the capitalist system in contrast to the social cooperation and equality of the socialism. Secondly, Mahfouz Majid Ali imaged the political corruption and economic monopolization in Egypt during the British colonialism on one hand, and the poverty and instability on the other. The second two novels of both the authors are talking generally about the political positions after the British imperialism In the case of Egypt, in the thief and the dogs, and the post-colonial conflicts, poverty, criminalities, chaos, whereas the truffles, which surely in search of America states about the political declines in America in the post Second World War in the terms of identity laws, foreignness, poverty, gender, and racial discrimination. Therefore, the four novels are politically critical and realistic. A comparative study of two different laureate novels with two different cultures of two different countries and two different continents has surely a great significance. The literary reflections on the socio-cultural and political affairs in Steinbeck and Mahfouz little novels as revelation of the real conditions and circumstances of their communities in the 20th century is a very significant topic for enriching the literature field with various literary spectrums. It is a real power of literature discourses and a contemporary lifestyle of people in accordance with the socio-cultural and political aspects. The research study has presented the reflecting visualization on the actual and factual postures of the people on the social and cultural and political level out. That is, in Steinbeck's novels, the American people's situation in the Great Depression in the pre-World War second decade and the American identity in the post-Second World War era, and in Mahfouz novels, the Egyptian people's position in the colonial and the post-colonial periods. So this is the thematic motive which is significantly needed to be studied comparatively. Briefly, the present research study has reached the following points: Steinbeck through the Grapes of Wrath, 1939, and the Travels with Shirley in Search of America, 1962, has really reflected on various social and economic, political, religious, and cultural affairs in his contemporary time period in the USA. Similarly, Mahfouz through Malik Ali and The Thieves and the Dogs has realistic reflections diversely on the social, cultural, and economic political issues in the mid-20th century Egypt. The four studied novels of Steinbeck and Mahfouz have various similar mechanisms in the mirroring realistically the instant situations of the authors, peoples, and societies, even though they have revealed many different thematic matters of the novelists about the different causes, problems, and conditions of their countries in general. Above all, both the authors have portrayed the investigative crises in order to convey the messages for the world and generations and the contemporary generations because of socio-cultural and political situations. Thank you so much.
Now this presentation is open for discussion, debate, queries, whatever you have. But be brief in your description, explanation, query, doubts, whatever. Be brief. Brief. Yeah. You should be very brief. Thank you very much. Within one sentence only.